I'm Ted Meyer, and I'm here in Joshua Tree with,
Carol S.
and, and Carol and I are social distancing for this interview,
Yes.
but we have known each other for a long time because we both do artwork. Well, we first met because I was curating shows by artists with medical imagery in their work, and you have a couple medical things going on.
Yeah. I have lupus and I have like a neuropathy. I originally got diagnosed with MS. And then over the years, after spinal taps and MRIs, they found that I had lupus with uh, like a central nervous system involvement. So they just changed it to lupus with a polyneuropathy.
Wow, so you have lots of resource material for artwork.
Yeah, so a lot of my artwork had like even MRIs in it with like brain scans and some stuff with the spinal cord. And you've seen it. It's kind of, it's not the prettiest stuff, but
But that's what I so what I really like about your work is that if you just look at it, even your work that is about really serious matters, it will have a wheelchair in it. And I remember one that we showed at UCLA, and it had wires, and it was about electroshock therapy, I believe, and but the imagery is so fun. It's very kid-like. It's very upbeat. Your colors are, you do a lot of primary solid colors. Um, so you approach these sort of very serious subjects in a really whimsical way.
yeah, I mean, I have kind of a no education in art, so a lot of people say it's kind of naive, sort of outsider arty looking, which I don't mind. I don't mind that my hand has that kind of look to it, almost cartoony. But that's like my influence. And then I have a lot of stitching in it because I have a background in pattern making. I grew up in the garment industry, and my family had a business where we cut patterns for the garment industry. It's not like the fashion business, it's more of the sweatshop business.
So I was looking on your website, and you've got all these desert landscapes, and a lot of those have patterns in them that almost look fabric patterns, like repeating patterns and things that you've dropped in. So do you think that work early on doing the patterning, your family was in that business?
Definitely, definitely a big influence. I think a lot of like all my early childhood influences follow me all throughout my life, even though things have changed. And I've gotten education here and there by all different influences, going to museums, looking at other art, being involved in the gallery scene and stuff like that. All the influences just come and kind of just seep into the work. But my early influences just stick with me. And I kind of stay true to like, work with what you know. And so I kind of like the stitching and I like the kind of like the meditation of it. So I like crafting the work that way.
So the work that you do that deals with your medical imagery, your medical history, do you find any pushback on that? I mean, there's one image, and I can't remember the title of it, but it's this nice drawing. It's sort of very upbeat. And then in the bottom corner, there's a wheelchair. Sort of
Yeah,
shocking to see that in there. So what's the reaction? Because you have a really great gallery in LA. Are they willing to show that sort of
yeah,
work?
definitely. I mean, I have like the last show I had, it was like an abstract piece, and I had a wheelchair thrown in there. I've been in a wheelchair before, and I find that a lot of people don't even recognize me when I was started to get out of the wheelchair.
That
That
happened with us a couple times.
Yeah, you get identified as a person in a wheelchair, and then also I noticed while I was in a wheelchair, artwork was just too high to look at. So I actually told the gallery like to start staggering the art pieces so that some stuff was lower, so that that line of vision for people in wheelchairs could see the work in that line of vision. because people don't think about it. And I also said, put chairs in the gallery, and he ordered like 25, 35 chairs. He put it in the gallery during my opening.
Oh, that's really great.
Yeah.
So he's understanding of it all.
Yeah, he's very understanding. I love Craig Kroll. He's just a great guy to work with.
Because so many of us that are patient artists, we always hear, well, no one wants to see your work about cancer, no one wants to see your work about whatever. So it's nice that you've got somebody who's so supportive.
Yeah, it is great. But I mean, there's a lot of people there's a lot of disabled artists. I work with the National Art and Disability Center, and I think that's just made me a lot more aware of how many artists that have mental illness. I have mental illness too. I have bipolar, and that's why there was like electroshock therapy in that same painting that you're talking about. My mom was bipolar, and she went through all that when I grew up, and it was difficult to deal with her because it was pre-Prozac, and so all they had was like lithium and electroshock therapy. And so there's just like all these things that people don't want to see or think about or hear about. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind doing that in my art, and I don't even believe or understand why people sometimes they buy it. And but I think it's great because I don't know, they like the risk that I'm taking. Maybe I don't know why, or the colors. I use a lot of bright colors.
Do you feel I mean, you're sort of putting yourself out in a lot of these paintings. Do, have you ever had a thing where someone's interested in a painting and then you sort of explain what's going on medically and then they go, I don't want it, or does it make them more invested?
I try not to even talk when somebody's looking at the art because I want them to have their own experience. But if they ask questions, I will answer them honestly. But I try to steer them into like, well, how do you feel about it, or what do you see? Um, because I don't want to give them my interpretation. Because once I'm finished with the painting, it's kind of like it doesn't belong to me anymore. It belongs to the person looking at it. And yeah, sometimes people have been like, well, that's not what I thought it was about, or, but that's happened rarely. Rarely has that happened. But I think they like the vulnerability. They relate to it. It's relatable, I think.
So now you're out in the desert and you're doing work about being out here. How's it affecting you health wise? Not only with your artwork, but just in general, being away from the city, the stress.
Oh, it's great. I love the desert. I have for 20 some years, and it just is anxiety relief being out here because it's so quiet and it's just nature, and I love it. I love the desert.
Well, thanks for talking to me.
Thank you for having me.